Hello? Today's case will revolve around a person known as the professional serial robber and killer in Inner Mongolia. Over a grueling 7 years, he has been on the run across 12 provinces and autonomous regions of Inner Mongolia, Shaanxi, Gansu, Hebei, and Shandong, as well as 6 railway lines such as Baohui, Jingguang, committing a total of more than 88 crimes, of which more than 60 were serious in nature, such as robbery, sexual assault, and murder, resulting in the deaths of 13 people. The most terrifying thing is that among the victims of sexual assault, there was a 10-year-old girl. So who is Ma Vingliang, and what was the trajectory of his criminal acts? Let's find out. Ma Vingliang was born in 1960 in a small village in Inner Mongolia. From his childhood, he was an orphan, living only with his grandfather. However, his grandfather was not wealthy either, and the life of the two of them was generally lacking in many ways. Ma Vingliang had hoped that his future life would be better, but fate seemed to want to tease him. When Ma Vingliang was 13 years old, his grandfather died of malnutrition. At such a young age, he had to face such a huge loss, and he didn't know what to do. His life gradually drifted into uncertainty, and his hope for a brighter future also faded away. Shortly after, Ma Vingliang packed a few belongings and decided to go to the city to make a living. However, since he was still too young and his health was also weak, no one was willing to hire him. Reluctantly, Ma Vingliang had to wander the streets and make a living by begging. But at that time, begging was not easy either, and Ma Vingliang often had to endure the ups and downs of hunger and fullness. The desperate poverty gradually caused Ma Vingliang to develop a bad character and thoughts. He began to conceive the idea of robbery, and his targets were any strangers. At night, he would frequent the public benches where strangers rested and take advantage of their deep sleep to use knives or scissors to rob their belongings. However, these places were often the territory of experienced thieves, so whenever Ma Vingliang robbed some money, he would be robbed by other thieves. It was not until later that Ma Vingliang became more cunning. After selecting a target at the train station, he would lure his target out of there and then commit the robbery. In this way, the experienced thieves at the train station would no longer have the opportunity to extort the money he had robbed. On January the 31st, 1977, Ma Vingliang wandered to Baochi, Shaanxi, in search of a target. He quickly noticed an attractive rural woman standing in the waiting hall of the train station. He found out that she was a Gansu native who was going to Baochi to work and was about to board the train back home. Vingliang thought that since she had been working away from home for a while, she might be carrying a lot of money. So he approached her and gained her trust. He then lied that he had some clothes nearby and asked her to help carry them. The kind-hearted Miss Shi agreed to help, unaware that she was walking into a deadly trap. Vingliang lured Miss Shi to the pharmaceutical factory area in Baochi and threatened her to hand over all her money. At first, Miss Shi refused, but in the end, Vingliang took the money by force. While rummaging through her belongings, Vingliang accidentally touched an intimate part of Miss Shi's body. Being a curious 17-year-old, Vingliang then developed a malicious intent and threatened to kill Miss Shi if she made any sound. Terrified, Miss Shi remained silent, fearing not only for her life, but also for her reputation if the incident became known. Thus, Vingliang committed his first sexual assault. In the moment, he felt an utmost sense of physical and mental satisfaction. However, afterwards he became fearful, as his previous crimes had only been minor offenses, but this time, if caught, he could face decades in prison, which he absolutely did not want. So he decided to silence Miss Shi permanently. He used her own belt to strangle her to death, then robbed her of all her possessions and hastily fled Baochi for Baotu. At the waiting room of Baotu station, Vingliang set his sights on a 19-year-old girl named Wang. After chatting for a while, he learned that Wang had come here to look for a job, so he used the pretext of helping Wang find a job to lure her into a forest west of the train station. As soon as they entered the forest, Wang felt something was wrong and tried to run away, but it was too late. Vingliang could not let his prey escape so easily. The moment he saw Wang trying to flee, he immediately pounced on her, pinned her down, and committed sexual assault. But that was not enough. After finishing his heinous act, Vingliang forced Wang to go under a large willow tree in the southwest of the station to satisfy his despicable lust one more time. After fully satisfying himself, Vingliang tied up the victim's hands and feet, used a belt to strangle her neck, then shoved willow branches into her nose and mouth, causing her to suffocate to death. On the evening of October 8th, 1977, Vingliang encountered a villager named Liu in Dalai Lama County, Inner Mongolia. At that time, Ving Liang claimed to be a hat seller, saying he had 2 bags of goods at the Namkong Bridge and asked Liu to help retrieve them, promising to pay him afterwards. Liu did not think much of it and simply went along. Little did he know, halfway through the journey, Ving Liang revealed his true colors, pushed Liu to the ground, and strangled him multiple times to threaten and rob him. However, since Liu was a villager, Ving Liang let him go around 4 a.m. Ving Liang did not have a high level of education, but he was skilled at deceiving victims by learning the local language fluently to easily trick them. On the evening of June 9th, 1979, as Ving Liang was on his way to the train station in Linha, Inner Mongolia, he encountered a local man named Zhang. Ving Liang cleverly exploited his simple appearance and the Linha dialect to engage in a friendly conversation with Zhang. During the conversation, when he learned that Zhang was going to Baocheng for business, Ving Liang hatched an evil plan. Taking advantage of Zhang's moment of inattention, he struck Zhang's head hard with a rock, causing his instant death. Ving Liang found 140 cash and a Shanghai watch on Zhang's body, which he hid. He then stripped the victim's clothes and put them on himself before disposing of the body. The 140 cash was a rather large sum at the time, allowing Ving Liang to spend freely for a while without having to worry. However, once the money ran out, he resumed hunting for new victims. On January 6, 1981, Ma Vin Liang went to Vinhan District, Gansu, and accidentally met a girl named Kim who was walking alone. He intended to harm the victim, but did not expect Kim to resist fiercely. During the struggle, Ma Vin Liang, afraid of being discovered by others, used a mask to cover the girl's mouth and tied her up with a rope. When he was about to rape Kim, Ma Vin Liang was horrified to find that the victim had died. Ma Vin Liang flew into a rage and vented his anger by abusing the victim's body. Not only did he furiously hack the corpse, but he also cut off the characteristic female body parts. Finally, he even dissected the victim's abdomen. Over the years, Ma Vin Liang has committed a series of crimes in provinces and cities such as Beijing, Tianjin, Shanghai, Shanxi, Gansu, Hebei, and Shandong. In just 40 days, from July 28th to September 8th, 1981, Ma Vin Liang continuously committed multiple murders in 7 counties of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Later, he moved to Bao Island and continued to commit other serious crimes. On May 16, 1983, Ma Vin Liang went to Shanghai, and that night he intercepted a woman named Lu who was going to work the night shift at Hongkou, intending to rape her. Due to Lu's determined resistance, Ma Vin Liang got angry and stabbed her 3 times before hastily fleeing. Fortunately, because she was wearing a very thick coat, Lu was only slightly injured and her life was not in danger. 2 days later, on the morning of May the 17th, Ma Vin Liang went to the Jiakbei area and tried to rob the property of a bus ticket seller named Liu. Liu used all his strength to resist, but Ma Vin Liang rushed in and stabbed him 2 more times. After being stabbed, Liu cried out for help, but soon afterwards he collapsed and died. After committing these 2 consecutive crimes, Ma Vin Liang felt he could not stay in this place for long. Therefore, he immediately left the area and went to Baocheng City. On August 20th, 1983, Ma Vin Liang raped and robbed a citizen in the suburban fields of Baocheng City. In the period from 1977 to 1983, a total of 7 years, Ma Vin Liang committed 87 cases of rape, robbery, and murder, of which more than 60 were serious cases. Among the victims abused by Ma Vin Liang was also a 10-year-old girl. However, the wicked received their just deserts, and in the end, Ma Young Liang was ensnared due to his greed. In the process of committing his crimes, he was caught red-handed by the police. At 2 p.m. on October the 28th, 1983, Ma Young Liang targeted a group of tourists waiting for their train at the Baocheng station. He pretended to be friendly and get to know them. Soon after, he asked Lu, a girl in the tourist group, to help him get his clothes bag near the station. Since the train was still a long way from arriving, Lu didn't think much of it and followed Ma Young Liang. Lu's younger sister stayed at the station to wait, but when she didn't see her sister and Ma Young Liang return for a long time, she grew worried something bad had happened and quickly reported it to the station security. After hearing the report, the station security realized there was a high probability that a similar crime to the previous ones that had occurred near the station had just taken place. It was very likely that Lu had also been lured away to be sexually assaulted and even murdered. The station security immediately contacted the local police to mobilize forces, coordinate with the station staff and passengers to establish a tight blockade and control of the station area. After a while, Ma Yongliang suddenly returned to the station. It turned out he had indeed tricked Lu into going to a deserted area to harm her. But he didn't expect Lu to be a very strong girl who was able to quickly escape from the evil perpetrator and run away. Ma Yongliang was furious. He couldn't accept it, and he went back to the station intending to harm Lu's younger sister. But before he could do anything, he was ambushed and arrested by the police. After being arrested, Ma Yongliang thought he might not be punished too severely, so he might as well just truthfully report this incident, thinking he could even get a reduced sentence. From his testimony, the experienced police officer realized this was not the first time he had committed a crime, because if it had been his first offense, when Lu escaped, he should have felt panicked and quickly left the scene. But instead he came back to stalk the younger sister, proving he had carried out many similar crimes before. Believing that Ma Yongliang certainly had many unreported cases, the local police immediately transferred him to higher authorities for intensive interrogation. At this point, Ma Yongliang also knew that if all his crimes were exposed, he would certainly receive the death penalty. So in the end, he only admitted to the attempted rape of the two sisters and completely denied everything else. In this situation, the police did not give up. They compared the height and appearance of Ma Yongliang with the recent murder cases and also issued arrest warrants to the local police departments. The results were quite surprising. Many localities reported finding suspects similar to Ma Yongliang in appearance and who had committed crimes such as robbery, murder, rape, and theft in about 40 cases. With such feedback, not only the local police but also the leadership of the Ministry of Public Security were extremely surprised and had to organize many emergency meetings to discuss the case plan. The Ministry of Public Security also transferred Ma Yongliang's video footage to other places for the victims to identify. Faced with overwhelming and undeniable evidence, Ma Yongliang could not deny the 88 cases and 13 fatalities he had caused across 12 provinces, cities, and autonomous regions, as well as 6 railway lines, committing 88 crimes and killing 13 people. When the news spread, everyone was surprised that a 24-year-old could have such a long criminal history. On April 17, 1984, the city court sentenced Ma Yongliang to death for the crimes of robbery, assault on women, and intentional murder. Shortly after, Ma Yongliang was executed by firing squad. The life of a serial killer has finally come to an end. Ma Yongliang had to pay a heavy price for the atrocious crimes he committed, but it could never compensate for the unfortunate lives lost and the suffering of the survivors. From this case, we can see that no matter how skillfully a criminal may evade, they cannot ultimately escape the punishment of the law. Therefore, each of us must strive to be a good citizen, useful to society, and absolutely refrain from any illegal or unethical actions. And the video here today has come to an end. What do you think about this serial murder case? Please leave a comment below the video. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.